Welcome to the Sportsman's Voice podcast, your inside connection to the outdoor legislation. From the Beltway to policy happening your way, we're covering it all. I'm your host, Fred Bird. Join us as we explore public land access, wildlife and fisheries management, Second Amendment rights, the triumphs that shape our nation, the sports we all love, and the stories that fuel our passion for the great outdoors. This is the Sportsman's Voice podcast. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this feature edition of the Sportsman's Voice podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. This week, we're going to take it back in time, but still very, very relevant. Going back to NAS, to Memphis, where we sat down with Robbie Kroger of the Origins Foundation. Some of you may know that, and we're going back in time a bit. Not too much, but the Blood Origins brand that we'll talk about that in the intro of the program. But at any rate, still a very timely program as we talk about the Big Five Airfinger Quote Trophy import bans that go on specifically in New York. And this is timely because we just engaged during the first half of the session there in New York in the Assembly on a couple of bills. And fortunately, time ran out on these bills, kind of forced the issue, and they're not completely dead. But for now, they're on the shelf, and those bills are Senate Bill 5014 and Assembly Bill 1616. Which, New York, Connecticut go through these seasons of trying to ban Big Five animals coming from the countries in Africa. Robbie and I have a conversation about why that is detrimental to those countries, to those local economies, to the resource and to the animals themselves. We've covered this on the program before, but my hope is, Robbie talks about it in a way only Robbie can talk about it, in a very literally an authentic voice, being from over there, and spending so much time. And currently he's been over there so much right now, working on rhinoceros issues and the devaluation of that specific animal because of very interesting conversation about rhino horns, their value. Is there a possible rhino horn trade that can be brought about through captive breeding where they're not actual wild animals, as I understand it, and that money gets earmarked and goes directly back into conservation? So anyway, Robbie's always into something cool and interesting and trying to better things over there on the continent and for conservation of these species. Because again, as we get into, without the interest, without the value put on these animals from Western hunters, more often than not, these critters become essentially vermin and become a problem, and their value goes down to nothing as they become a problem, and they're dealt with as vermin. So great conversation coming up here. And again, like I said, we're at CSF, we're working on this as best we can, and then Robbie and Origins Foundation do their thing and really, put this out there as the subject matter experts in his way. And again, obviously from the policy legislative side, we're on the ground in Albany, in Hartford, working on these issues. So like I said, we're going back in time a little bit, but still very, very current and an issue that we have to be ready for in the coming sessions and when folks get back to work. So without further ado, let's go back in time, cue up Robbie, and share this episode, folks. I really appreciate it. Before we do, also apropos, NASC 2026 is upcoming. If you're coming, I recommend you register now, get in on that early bird. We're going to Oklahoma City. It's going to be a hell of a time. I'm telling you, the stacked agenda, stacked speakers, And the end of the week activities are not terrible either. So you're going to want to check that out. But plug there for NAS. That's ongoing. Make sure you get registered if you're joining us. All right, now let's get to it. Robbie Kroger, ladies and gentlemen. All right, our NASC sessions continue here in Memphis, and figure we're going to bring someone in local. We want to talk about African Big Five issues, of which we've covered on the program.
Is that a local issue?
Well, you're going to tell us. I couldn't think of anyone better, local as he is, Robbie Kroger of the Origins Foundation, newly renamed Origins Foundation from the audience that may know as Blood Origins. Robbie. Good
That's
to see
right.
you, man.
Yeah, good to see you, Fred.
Been a minute.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Apologize for being late this morning, but I just got back in from being in South Africa, Namibia, Zambia on Monday. I've been gone for 3.5 weeks.
Damn. How was that?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
This time of the year, I miss Thanksgiving every year because all of the professional hunting associations have their annual general meetings at this time of the year. So you start in South Africa, then you go to Zimbabwe, then you go to Namibia, then you end in Zambia, and then everybody flies home.
So this may parlay well into what we're talking about. What are you guys meeting about? What's on the minds of the guide services over there in those different countries?
Yeah, everyone's talking about the same stuff, the stuff that we engage in all the time. Trophy hunting bans everywhere. What does that mean? How are we getting over it? What are we pushing? How are the government responding to it? And then individual countries have individual issues that you have to get over. Zimbabwe, we mid-year had to deal with a whole potential new Cecil issue that came out of Zimbabwe called Blondie. Luckily, that did not get the legs that a Cecil did for many different reasons.
Yeah, quickly for the audience that doesn't understand that, briefly cover Cecil and what that meant.
Yeah, Cecil 2015, a very quote-unquote iconic lion got killed outside of Wangi by the famous dentist Walter Palmer with a bow. It was a collared lion, so they have some collaring information, though we've never actually truly publicly seen the collaring information that showed that he went for 10 hours and whatnot, which obviously caused a massive uproar. Jimmy Kimmel talked about it, and it was really the first major nail in the coffin of potentially getting to the point of banning hunting. And so 10 years on, almost to the day, it was like July 5th when Cecil was killed. This year, same ecosystem, which is Wangi, big ecosystem, too many elephants, surrounded by hunting blocks. It's a national park. Within the national park, no hunting, only photographics. It is bordered essentially like in a ring by hunting concessions, and then you have community concessions, you have community areas. And there's a lot of lions that move in and out of these areas, a lot. And so a named lion, again, called Blondie, was killed. But it didn't get as much traction, as I said, as Cecil did, because number one, it was not a collared lion. Number two, there are multiple lions in that ecosystem called Blondie. And so we don't know which one. And then as you dug in a little bit more, the actual picture that was pushed across social media as this is the lion that got killed was actually not the lion that was killed.
Oh, no kidding.
So there was this whole conspiracy from the antis side of things. Actually, sorry, let me correct myself. Blondie was collared. And it was collared by an anti-use journal publication in South Africa called Africa Geographic. And so there's another element there, why did you collar Blondie? Probably because they knew that Blondie could be killed, which would make a massive story for them, which it did, put Africa Geographic on the front page of 40 newspapers all over the world.
How insanely crappy is that, though? So these people that profess to be lovers of nature and lovers of these critters, it's like entrapment, man. They set this lion up, knew they probably had a chance of being taken. They're like, well, let's stand over his dead body and make something of it.
And there's also...
How disingenuous is that?
Well, it's just how the other side plays.
They suck. I mean, we know that, but golly days, that is just evil.
But then there was all other elements, he was part of a pride. No, he wasn't. If you go actually back to the researchers' blogs, that again, the researchers' camp are very much an anti-use camp, anti-hunting camp. They gave us all the information. There was a huge pride fight one of Blondie's brothers got killed. He got ousted from the pride. So he's been out of a pride for 3 months. He didn't have lionesses. He did not have cubs. He's been roaming outside the park for 3.5 months. He wasn't seen in the park since May. Got killed in July. There was a lot of dubious nature we've just talked about around this lion. And so it did not get the traction that it was going to get. Zambia is a fascinating country. The Minister of Tourism there is absolutely pro-hunting and wants hunting in Zambia, actively promoting it, so Zambia this year has given Safari Club International, so if you go to Nashville this year in the convention, on Saturday night, the premier auction item for the very first time is a big 4 hunt: lion, leopard, elephant, buffalo, plus hippo, plus croc. It's a full bag in Zambia, sponsored by the Ministry of Tourism in Zambia.
Yeah.
It's not like an outfitter. Typical auctions, outfitters.
They recognize the importance of it.
This is the government of Zambia saying, here, and all that money that's going to be raised is going to go to community projects in Zambia.
You know what? For you and me, I feel like we're constantly telling this story, and over a number of years, you especially, it kind of gets, it becomes a little white noise because we hear it all over and over again. We understand the benefits of hunting over in those African countries. It's second to, the North American model, the benefits of it. But there's younger generations that keep coming up that don't understand it. It seems to me, and I know this has happened in the past, but for something like this instance, having the government officials be like, listen, this is important to us. This makes sense for management model. It helps our economy. Like, we need this. Otherwise, these animals have no value. And what comes of that, right? Like, this is a story you tell all the time for years. But for the sake of the audience and those here, and the reason I'm getting to this is because specific states in this country are outlawing this. And I know it's happened, but it would be great for that minister to talk to people in New York, to talk to people in Connecticut, and say, stop thinking for us.
Yeah.
We live here. Let us tell you what works for us.
Yeah. I think, so first and foremost, I think the fact that the government of Zambia is doing this at SCI, it's the first time. We're not used to it. Like, me and you and our community is not used to it because we're always typically on the back foot, right? There's a minister. Just look at the minister that just got removed in South Africa, Dion George, who is very much in the anti-use camp. He was there. He was theirs. Now we have a minister that's ours.
Yeah.
For the first time, we're like, whoa. So it's anomalous, right? But it's also a sign of the times, and it's a sign of value, and it's a sign of what this wildlife means. But it's also a recognition that there's places in Zambia, there's places in South Africa that without hunting, you'd have to figure out what other land use would come after it, right? It's either going to be agriculture, it's either going to be forestry, it's either going to be livestock use. It's not going to be phototourism. People saying, I'll just replace all the hunting with phototourism. It's a saturated market already. There's no way that you would be able to pick up a 2,000 hectare property, turn it into ecotourism lodge, and make a business out of it. It's not going to happen. You're never going to turn a profit. You're going to close your doors within 6 months. That's the reality.
What is an average 10-day photo safari? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but just guess about. How would that be juxtaposed to me going over there for?
You're probably spending triple. You're probably spending triple for hunting.
That doesn't matter.
The ecotourism.
Like, on average, doesn't matter the critter. Like 3 times more for.
And then if you go to a place like Namibia, the data shows 66-1.
So do the quick math for the audience. You need to get that many more people taking pictures.
You need 66 tourists.
Yeah.
That, you're not talking about their carbon footprint. You're not talking about their non-consumptive. And if you're watching this, I don't know if anybody's watching this, but I'm putting air quotes in non-consumptive. 66 people do consume. They do consume water. They do create waste. They do consume food.
Yeah.
They are putting a fingerprint or footprint on the landscape.
And there's not enough infrastructure. Like, where are you going to house all these people? Right?
Look, these are the camps, right? These camps have 200 beds or 30 beds or whatever it is. But yeah, to the New Yorks and the Connecticuts of the world, there's this meme that goes around every so often, which is an African tribe sitting around a fire, and the cartoon says they're discussing what they are going to, from a law perspective, pass for white-tailed deer management in New York and Africa. It's actually, when you get down to the fundamental nature of it, it's actually racist at the end of the day, and nobody wants to use that term.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is. It's a colonialist viewpoint that says we know better, we're more intelligent than you, and typically this is a white New Yorker or a white Connecticut individual legislator talking down to a black African saying, well, we're superior than you, we're more intelligent than you, we know how to manage resources, you don't. So we're going to promulgate legislation that says we're going to ban the import of these trophies coming in, because by doing that, it's not banning hunting, it's just banning the import of the trophy. But indirectly, the reason they're doing that is because indirectly it could affect somebody to come and hunt, which means a change in economics, a change in community upliftment, all sorts of negative effects, feedback loops essentially, in the country of origin of that animal. Well, that's not New York or Connecticut. That's Zambia, that's Namibia, that's Mozambique, where these guys are living with wildlife. They have to deal with wildlife, and they have to, at the end of the day, think about, if we want wildlife to be around, it's all tied to value. And so if you're promulgating legislation that's stopping the import of these trophies, you're changing the value of that wildlife and actually doing the opposite. You think you're saving wildlife by doing it, but you're actually stroking a death sentence on that wildlife by doing it. You're saying, we don't value the wildlife, so we're going to stop people from actually valuing it themselves. And in turn, then the people on the ground will go, well, this wildlife isn't useless to us anymore. That lion that now comes and chows my cow.
Right.
Oh, I used to be able to get $120,000 for that lion. So I was happy with him taking 6 cows a year. Now, I didn't get any money for that lion.
It's vermin.
It's essentially vermin.
Right.
And so now he takes a cow. I'm like, I'm going to go and poison that cow. So what the villagers will do is they'll go to that cow, they'll lace it with poison, and the lion, unlike a cheetah will never come back to a prey item. A cheetah will take down something, eat it, and then move off. It won't come back. Lions will come back. They smack a cow, they'll eat half of it, they'll go off somewhere else, and then they'll come back, and they'll eat the rest of it. Well, when they come back and eat the rest of it, it's poisoned. And so you're not just killing one lion, killing 10. Get rid of the problem. Because all those problems right there they have no value to us anymore. Like, why do we want to live with lions? We don't want to live with lions. They're dangerous. They eat our cows, potentially eat us.
Right.
That's not what we want. And that's the circle.
Right.
That is this whole trophy hunting ban scenario. Now, is there ways of, like, let's think a little bit differently? Is there ways to think outside the box and say, what would happen if a trophy hunting ban gets put in place? Would this thing actually promulgate itself? The answer is we don't know. Probably. But if it doesn't, you've got taxidermists that are becoming the best in the world.
Yeah.
And replicas are just as good.
Amazing.
Unbelievable replicas. And so it's almost like a catch-22 that we're in that we've got technology now, we've got taxidermists now that have already looked around the corner to say, if stuff like this continues to happen, we're out of business. So how do we stay in business? And so these replicas are getting more real, tactilely, weight-wise.
They're incredible.
Everything. And they're maybe a third of the cost as well. So
I didn't know the pricing. They're a third of the price of the real thing.
So then then you sort of take it one step further and says, well, then you actually got more money in your pocket now, which means you may hunt more.
Interesting. Yeah, no kidding, huh? I think what drives me crazy about the whole thing, aside from everything you just articulated, is that you have states trying to screw over entire countries. Like, that's wild to me.
it's very short-sighted, and again, colonialist. It's a remnant of 1700s, 1800s, where countries would go around the world and go, "This is our land now. No better.
Yeah.
We're going to manage your resources for you because you don't know how to manage your resources."
Is there an instance where a country over on that continent where maybe I'm not going to say an import ban has affected it directly, but the outlawing of hunting or lack of hunting has negatively affected, and there's a proven case study there that people have just, I think elephants comes to mind.
Great question. So essentially that is our mission. Like, I want the proof, which is what you're asking. Like, is there proof
Yeah.
to show that if a ban of hunting was put in place, this was the effect? There's lots, but there's also so much that we haven't even scratched the surface on. So, for instance, I'll give you a couple of examples. So Tanzania, not as a result of a ban of hunting, but as a result of auction prices for specific concessions in the mid, and also as a result of Cecil, because in Tanzania, your big rural hunting concession blocks the outfitter would heavily rely on a lion bag safari, which would be $100,000, $120,000, $150,000 safari,
Wow.
to literally make him enough money to make it through the season.
Yeah.
Well, because of the whole Cecil debacle, all of the actual imports of lions coming into the US was stopped, i.e., no value to lion hunting anymore because you can't get your lion trophy back in. So a Tanzanian safari in these rural concessions now could not utilize a lion. So your $120,000 safari went down to a $20,000 safari. And so these guys couldn't make it because the auction block cost to just get off the starting block was $120,000 a year.
Wow.
And so they couldn't make ends meet. And so they started abandoning these blocks. Now, the antis will say that they abandoned the blocks because they had raped the blocks. And maybe some of them that was true because they were dealing with a 5-year lease situation, which was something that we have pushed for in Africa to change, which is give the guys 10 years, give the guys 15 years, because then they will invest. They'll look after the wildlife. If you and I knew in 5 years' time the block was up for tender and anybody else in the system could buy the block from us,
You're going to take all you can.
and politically there's going to be some corruption components to it, that kind of stuff, yeah, you'd rape it.
No.
Right? You take as much as you can out the land because you don't know what's going to happen in 5 years' time. Anyway, that didn't happen on these rural blocks for the majority. And so one of the things we're looking at now is looking at these blocks that were abandoned in 2012, 2013, 2014, and using Landsat imagery, Sentinel imagery, which is a way to look at vegetation, their diversity indices, their greenness indices. It just gives you an idea of change, okay, if I can simplify it that way. And because we know of an inflection point, 2012, 2013, when they got abandoned, we can look at data from 2006 to 2012 whilst they were hunted and compare that to 2013 to 2025 when they haven't been hunted and what's happened. Well, we did one example, and one of those blocks has lost 55% of its habitat today. It's all farmland now.
Wow.
Okay, so there's a proof. Like, get rid of hunting, like we've been talking about. If hunting is banned, and it wasn't in this scenario, but it was.
By proxy.
By
right.
proxy it was. Look what happens. Did anybody value the wildlife on the ground? No. What was valued more? The trees.
Yeah.
Because they could make charcoal from it, and they could plant crops. That's what valued over wildlife. So that was gone. Another example is Spain. So we went into Spain and we did a documentary called Cabaneros. So Cabaneros, 3.5 years ago, the Spanish government said that hunting on national parks was going to be banned. Makes sense. You can't hunt national parks here in the States.
Sure.
You can't hunt Yellowstone. Well, interestingly enough, there were 2 national parks specifically, and we think that they promulgated this rule specifically around these 2 parks and specifically around Cabaneros. So Cabaneros is a national park. Half of the national park is privately owned.
How's that?
they the politicians drew a line on a map and said, this is Cabaneros now. And
Who owns the other half? I'm just curious.
the government.
Oh, the government. It's privately owned by the government.
It's government-owned land.
Yeah.
50% of the government owns the land, but then 50% of the other land that was gazetted national park was privately owned by a very wealthy individual.
Wow.
And the government said, you're not allowed to hunt anymore. He's like, what? Yeah. And so we went in there and we documented it was actually the reverse. So in these landscapes in Cabaneros, the biologists and scientists reckon that you should have 25 deer per square kilometer. At the height of Cabaneros' non-hunting, there was 75 deer per square kilometer on that property, including 75 wild boar per square kilometer.
How's there any habitat left?
There was none.
Yeah.
It was a mowed desert landscape.
Yeah.
Like you walked and it looked like a lawnmower had gone everywhere. There were browse lines everywhere.
Yeah.
And so you got to the fence line of the national park. Outside the national, on the other side of the fence was a privately owned hunted reserve. And when I show you a photo, a drone photo of this side of the fence and this side of the fence, and I said to you, which side do you think is national park? You would pick the side that is hunted.
Of course.
Grass, lush grass everywhere, flowers and forbs and insects and species of plants that you wouldn't find inside the fence. And it just showed us like, okay, you decided to ban hunting. What happened? Habitat degradation, erosion, animal population out of control, animal disease on the horizon. Everything that we said was going to happen, here's the proof. And so we built this, and to end that story, we built a documentary. We pushed it into the digital media space in Spain, got a huge, big press corps that went out in Spain. Multiple newspapers picked up on the story and the documentary. They then petitioned the EU to say, this goes against your biodiversity manifesto. They went to the EU, presented our documentary. The EU said, yep, we're going to pick up the petition. We're going to look at what's happening in Cabaneros in Spain. The local Spanish government and the national government said, whoa, 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 whoa. We don't want that attention. What do you want? And they said, we want to hunt. They're like, well, we can't let you hunt, i.e. somebody paying to come hunt on the property. So what we'll do is we'll pay you to manage the deer. So the government, the end result here was the government is paying the private landowner
The gamekeeper.
to manage his deer. It's all semantics. And so massive victory, obviously,
Yeah.
but it just shows the proof. Going back to the original question, is there proof?
Yeah.
Plenty proof. You talked about elephants. Like there's a national park in South Africa called Madikwe. Ecological assessment says you need 250 to 500 elephants. It's 170,000 acre area reserve. 250 to 500 elephants, approximately. There's 1,700 elephants today.
Holy smokes.
It is like apocalyptic landscape. Not a single tree over 3 meters left in that property.
Wow.
But no hunting. 35 photographic lodges on the property.
Huh.
And it's like photographics. Like, what do you want? You're seeing your asset disappear in front of your eyes. You're seeing the habitat asset disappear.
It's interesting something an operation like that would not take the revenue from their safari guide service and put that back into habitat. But it stands to reason where you have over
What can
three
you do?
times.
You couldn't do anything.
Right. You have over 3 times the amount of elephants. You probably just can't keep up with it. This makes me think of these rewilders, right? Like we talk about rewilding, and we've seen examples of this, and people try to come in and buy up these blocks of land, and it's like, you're never going to get it to where it was 2,000 years ago. As much as you want to wish, as much as you want to buy, and this, I feel like goes right, it bleeds right into it. It's like, okay, fine. You're going to get this big square, and you're going to have your little oasis, your little utopia, and nothing's going to manage it. So what the hell's going to happen?
Yeah, Mother Nature can't.
No. And we're part of that system.
Yeah,
Human
100%.
beings. Like, you can't remove us no matter how much you want. Like,
Well, especially in a closed system, so a fence system.
oh yeah.
And then to us, like the whole point of why we exist from an Origins Foundation perspective, the whole reason we have a mission statement that is convey the truth about sustainable use of wildlife is that we truly believe that sustainable use of wildlife is the path forward for conservation. And the reason being is that we have a burgeoning human population in this world. Yes, certain countries have a negative population growth, but for the most part, we have a burgeoning human population that's pressing on habitat everywhere. And so that habitat is being squeezed. Wildlife is being squeezed into more habitat. There's more of an ecotone between urban and rural interfaces, more of an ecotone from a human-wildlife conflict perspective on many, many species all over this world. And it all comes back down to a value argument, i.e. you need to value the wildlife more for it to be able to coexist with humans and to live in the habitat that's left. And sustainable use of wildlife is not the panacea of wildlife conservation, but is one of, I've done the sort of calculation, it's one of 7 tools that we have. There's only 7 tools, Fred, that we have in this world to protect wildlife. That's it. Hunting's one of them. Ecotourism's another. Super rich philanthropic individuals is another. Your classic wilderness areas in the world that nobody really touches is another. Your biodiversity carbon credits system is another. Your regenerative agricultural space is another. And the last one is your national parks, your state parks and whatnot. That's it. That's all we have to conserve wildlife in this world. 7 things. So why get rid of one? Why champion one to be removed, which is hunting, sustainable use of wildlife?
It seems like if you put a Venn diagram of what you just illustrated with the American system of wildlife conservation, you're going to get some crossover, especially with hunters being the preferred method of wildlife management.
Well, it's just, again, I come back to like the people that we engage with daily, which is the people who hate hunting. And I pose the question to them all the time. I say, okay, fine, ban it. What are you replacing it with?
Right.
It protects 1.5 million square kilometers of habitat in Africa alone, more than double all the national parks combined. So, okay, ban it. Now what? That Tanzania example, 50%, 55% of the land is already gone in 10 years to farmland. That's what's going to happen when you ban it. So, when you're banning hunting, again, going back to sort of the philosophical roots, what are you actually after? If you profess to be a wildlife conservationist and you're interested in banning hunting, I would have to question the fact that if you're a wildlife conservationist at all.
Yeah, you are misconstruing the definition of conservationist and conflating it with preservationist, but you just don't want to call yourself that.
No, I don't think they're either.
No, you don't?
I think that they just hate hunting.
It's fair.
That's it.
That's fair.
Because if you break it down, if I'm giving you the facts here, if you do this, wildlife is going to suffer. Like, here's the proof. So you're still good with that, right? Yes.
Okay, yeah. That's a fair point.
Just because you, Fred, everybody else, because we just stopped you from hunting and killing an animal. That's what we are. That is what we are after.
But they'll say it, right? So that's the mask they wear.
Yep.
All right, so to bring this kind of full circle, we're here at the NAS Summit. We're working with state legislators, and we identified New York, Connecticut as examples. How can state legislative sportsmen's caucuses help this effort? I mean, obviously, repealing these bans would be a good start, but like, how can they be proactive with legislation in given states where this stuff comes into, and to say, like, look, we're not going to even entertain this?
Yeah, I think 2 things. Number one, we obviously have pro-sustainable use legislators that can stand up in the caucus, or they can stand up on the floor, or they can stand up in committee and go, okay, New York. Let's use New York as an example. They've brought the trophy hunting ban bill up in New York, I think 6 times now. 5 or 6 years in a row.
Yep.
Let the person stand up with pro-sustainable use and let them just be fact-driven. And essentially this conversation we just had,
right.
Let them have that conversation. Like, okay, you, the person that is championing the bill, you representative XYZ, let me really figure out what you're about here. And lay out the argument like we just laid it out. That's what, number one, I would, hope that somebody could do. And we have all the data. We have all the facts. We're open book, like, reach out to me, reach out to us.
Yeah.
We can give you the playbook. We can write your speech. We can do that all for you. Secondly, if, we haven't done this in New York yet, but bring somebody over. Bring Honorable Minister Rodney Sekumba from the Minister of Tourism in Zambia. Let him stand on the floor.
That would be wild. That'd be
Let him stand on the floor and tell you
Yeah.
his position as an
impactful.
African,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Powerful, man.
Absolutely.
Super powerful. And what are the people on the floor going to say? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. What can they say? They can't say nothing.
I'm having so many
I've already sworn too much on this podcast, sir. And I apologize for my swearing because, again, I've just come out of South Africa for 3.5 weeks. In the South African dialect, swear words are like, it's just part of the it's just part of the language.
part of it. You're bringing the culture. I dig it. All right. We're over time, and I want to be respectful of that. So I'm going to ask one final question of you.
Sure.
This is just an easy, fun one. What is your earliest memory of the outdoors? Hunting, fishing, or just exploring?
So when you're a boy growing up in South Africa, you obviously want to be just like everybody here in America wants to be a fireman, a policeman, whatever. But the other thing we want to be in South Africa is a game ranger. We want to be that guy that goes out and drives the Land Rover and shows the American tourist there's an elephant, there's a baobab tree. Oh, you see this bush, you can chew it, the leaves will make your teeth numb. My dad had a best mate called Alistair Moyer, and Alistair Moyer lived in the mountains in the Drakensberg, in a place called Leidenburg, which is 3 hours away from Joburg. And the other thing you've got to understand in South Africa is that Americans have a very skewed perception of like time and distance driving.
Yeah.
So, for instance, Leidenburg was 3 hours away. Here in America, you wouldn't think twice of driving to Leidenburg, spending lunch, having a lunch meeting in Leidenburg and driving home. That doesn't occur in South Africa. If it's Leidenburg, it's the weekend. Like you're going on a Friday, you're coming home on a Sunday afternoon. It's the only reason you would go to Leidenburg is spend the weekend. And the mountains there are covered in eucalypt forests and pine tree forests and whatnot. And there's a very distinctive smell in those mountains. And the smell is very akin to a skunk here in America. And so like and it's not the harsh skunk smell, but it's that skunk smell that it's just like a vague, like something happened here when you sort of smell it.
It's like a green herb.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It's like a pine tree. It's like this real citrusy pine scent. And again, earliest memory is just in those mountains. We learned how to ride a three-wheeler and we learned how to fly fish. And we were too young to fly fish, so we were allowed to use bread on a hook, but because that was cheating from a trout perspective. And yeah, we learned how to, we shot a 2.2 for the very first time and pellet guns for the very first time and milked cows for the very first time. And that's sort of my earliest memory. And Alistair and my dad, if I think about it, they were probably my age at the time. And they had a great time. I remember Alistair and my dad, chugging a pallet of beer, together. And the boys were, go shoot that. And, go take the three-wheeler,
Feral kids in South Africa.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Building forts in the pine tree forests and stuff,
Love it. Sir, I appreciate your time. It's always good to catch up with you.
Yeah,
Thanks for the hard work you're doing. And, listen, especially in the northeastern states where I work and my team works, I think there's an opportunity to work together and take you up on your offer to provide that information and connect you with those legislators.
100%.
Yeah.
That's to me. I told Jeff, I said, our role at the Origins Foundation is hip to hip with CSF. CSF, and I gave this presentation and I said this exact words in Zambia. I said, everybody has their expertise. Okay? CSF's expertise is working with the state legislatures, with the caucuses, engaging the individual legislators. How can we help you, kind of thing. Your expertise is not digital media, is not the bullhorn, is not sticking your neck out and saying something. That's my expertise. And that's where we work very well with CSF. You've got an issue, trophy hunting ban's about to come up in Connecticut, we can make a noise about it.
Yeah.
We can make a loud noise in the digital media space. We can do strategic marketing, strategic media relations, and whatever else we need to do with CSF. But CSF does the work on the ground. We do the work in the digital media sphere. We come together. We both win.
That's exactly right. Robbie Kroger, thank you for your time, sir. We appreciate it. And we'll be in touch soon on the state level, no doubt.
Appreciate you, Fred.
All right. Would you mind doing a sounder for me?
Yeah, whatever you want.
All right. This is Robbie Kroger with Origins Foundation. You're listening to the Sportsman's Voice podcast.
Hey, everybody. This is Robbie Kroger, the executive director and founder of the Origins Foundation. And you are listening to the Sportsman's Voice podcast.
Killer. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining us on this edition of the Sportsman's Voice podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, your support is crucial, and you can help us out right now by leaving a review, filling in those 5 stars where available, sharing this episode with friends and family, and engaging with us socially. CSF can be found on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. Together, we can protect the outdoor sports we love and continue to keep you informed wherever you are. That's it for this week. Until next time, we'll see you later.